U.S. Army is intensely evolved in ongoing conceptual exploration of just what kind of vehicle the next tank will be. Will it be a new variant of the Abrams into the 2030s, or will it be a variation of the now in development next generation combat vehicle? A lot of discussion underway and a lot of key requirements, so we can take a look at them one by one.
Part of NGCV is the next tank. That's like number 4 on their list of priorities. So is the next tank another iteration of Abrams, V4? Or is it a different chassis with an autoloader, with the crew in the hull, which means less weight, which means more mobility and better transportability? We've got a couple of designs that the Army is going to take a look at.
First, with the NGCV, General Cummings, who's the Program Executive Officer of Ground Combat Systems, said that first variant is expected to be a Bradley replacement, an infantry carrier. However, they are looking at the prospect of a family of vehicles. Industry, General Dynamics, BAE, Raytheon, and Rheinmetall, a German manufacturer, have already built demonstrator vehicles of the next NGCV. That is an infantry carrier. But some key questions that emerge are, what about weight? The current Abrams tank is about 70 tons. Can it go over bridges? Can it keep up with fast-moving infantry units? Does it have the requisite deployability, if you will? And it takes much longer to get to its objective. One of the things that developers talk about is that today's Abrams tank is not the tank of the Thunder Run or the run on Baghdad in 2003. One of the developers, Mr. Mark, who's the program manager of the Abrams tank, talks specifically about how different today's tank is. It has thermal sights, it has force tracking technology, it has all kinds of different electronics. So there are various upgrades underway now with the existing Abrams. One of them is called the V. It involves a number of electronics upgrades to include what General Dynamics Land Systems developers call line replaceable units are being evolved into line replaceable modules. Now what that means is that electronics on board the vehicle can be upgraded without having to pull them out and put something entirely new back in. The idea is through an engineering change proposal, as they talk about it, to get the tank ready to continue upgrading as threats emerge in the future. Also, it has electronic warfare technology, very key to jam possible signals of attacking bombs. The V3 also has something called Joint Battle Command Platform. It's a GPS-enabled force tracking technology. It has a moving digital map. It has red icons for enemies, blue icons for friends. The idea is to know where you are in relation to the enemy and your own fellow troops. Not only does it reduce friendly fire, but it can give you the much talked about almost buzz phrase, situational awareness in terms of where you are in combat. That's evolving so quickly that something like Blue Force Tracker 2 uses much faster satellite throughput. So the latency is CP also has something called Tiger, which is an intelligence database, and it catalogs information based along combat routes and says, for instance, there were insurgents here, there was a roadside bomb there. So people in a crew can operate with an understanding of where that path led to before and what may have happened. So it's a massive increase in intelligence at the same time. So there are a number of things with the V3 which has already been delivered, which lays the foundation for what's now in the early phases called the V4. That's described.
What does V4 look like? Is it just an iteration of the V3 with a few more things like 3rd Gen FLIR? Or could it be take the turret off, put an autoload turret on there and reduce the crew, reduce some weight? That's an option, but the Army has to take a look at all those options. We're going to show them.
That's described by developers as a lethality upgrade. It's a major increase in the ability to attack on the part of the Abrams tank. It has a new slip ring, has a laser rangefinder which can better detect targets. And one of the key advances is a 3rd generation FLIR, forward-looking infrared sensor, develops much higher resolution, much longer range thermal imaging so that crews can see targets further away and better distinguish targets and, of course, hit them. A massive part as well of the V4 upgrade is something called AMP, the Advanced Multi-Purpose Round. This takes 4 existing tank rounds and consolidates them into one to give crews much wider flexibility with what kind of attack they want in any given situation. It uses a high explosive anti-tank round and combines that with a multi-purpose round, combines that with an obstacle round, and then a canister round. Canister rounds, as you've probably heard, have a variety of different projectiles that spread across an area to create what's called an anti-personnel effect. Essentially, you want to kill a handful of enemy fighters. You want dispersed projectiles to knock out people as opposed to an enemy tank or an enemy building. Colonel Shermer, who's the developer of the next generation combat vehicle, says right now it might not make sense to fully replace the Abrams with a new Abrams-like platform. But he says there needs to be a technological breakthrough before some of these next things can happen. And here's what he said they were. He said what you need to have is much lighter weight. But in order to enable lighter weight, of course, that makes an armored vehicle more vulnerable. You need active protection systems, a fire control, radar, sensor system, which tracks incoming enemy fire, shoots up a projectile, knocks it out of the sky. Right now, there are existing systems, but he said you'd need a new generation of technology to knock out kinetic energy or long penetrator rods, which are specifically designed to cut through armor. If you had that next layer of protection, you then might have the ability to move something to a lighter weight, make it more deployable, more mobile in combat. There's also the advent of the very challenging move toward lighter weight armor composites that can provide the same level of protection, of course, at a much lower weight as well.
Yeah, so there's some things that we think we can do that could make the current chassis more lighter and more nimble when it comes to crew size and electronics, and then could eventually go on a much lighter 55-ton kind of vehicle.
Okay, so that's... Finally, it's not possible to talk about a future tank or tank-like platform without talking about optionally manned. The current infantry carrier NGCV is being designed as optionally manned, but one of the things that Colonel Shermer talked about is it will still take a while before you have an unmanned system able to function as a manned system could, in terms of solving dynamic problems, interpreting subjective things, and responding in real time to new variables. You could have it carry supplies to enable the tank itself to be at a lighter weight, possibly ammunition. And with a human in the loop doing teleoperating, it could potentially fire weapons if you're able to acknowledge and hit a target. Now, technology is there for a completely autonomous system to find, track, and kill a target without human intervention. But of course, Pentagon doctrine, it's an ethical issue as well as an accuracy issue. Want to make sure there is always a human in the loop making that decision about lethal force. At the same time, there's concern about whether enemies will do the same thing. Either way, unmanned systems are here to stay. Kris Osborn, Warrior Maven.